I'm gonna lose.
Just breathe, Alex.
This is it, I think. Damn, you really messed it up.
Oh, God.
Oh! What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another InvestorLift Roundtable. Today, I'm joined with Alex Saenz, and we are going to be helping out young entrepreneurs with how to get their business off the ground, and then from there, have continued success in whatever avenue they are chasing after, whether it's real estate or another business. And we're here to help you out today. Thanks for being with me, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. My name is Alex Saenz. I started real estate at the age of 18, now 27. So from a young entrepreneur's perspective, I can't wait to dive into the conversation and share my experiences, wins and losses.
Likewise, yeah, and I started at 16 years old when I found him on YouTube, and now I am 22 years old, and it's worked out, man. I've been able to change my life with real estate, and if you're watching, on the screen right now, I know you can do the same, so excited to help you out today. We're gonna start with pulling a piece from the Jenga, and then we are going to be asked questions that we're gonna answer for you. Haven't played Jenga in forever, so I don't want to mess it up. And I pulled a tough one already.
Yeah, way to start. Let's go.
So the first question is, how do you start as a young entrepreneur?
You wanna go first?
I'll go first. I think, how do you start as a young entrepreneur? I think that first you got to identify what you want to do, right? And a lot of people struggle with figuring out what they want to do with their life, right? And, sometimes it'll pop up for you right in front of your face. Okay, this is cool. This is something I want to chase after. Or sometimes you'll feel completely lost in life and you just don't know what you want to do. And the answer to both those is putting yourself out there, searching for what you want. So if you don't know what you want to do, look up a bunch of different possible businesses you could get into, right? Start there. If you do know what business, just start with that one. But once you identify that business, then it's going to start with all this research that you can do online. And that's exactly what I did. And I started my real estate journey and my entrepreneurial career back in 2019. There was a lot of information online for free, but not as much as there is today. There's a tremendous amount online today. So it's even easier. And so I started by watching a lot of your YouTube videos on how to wholesale real estate and watching, Jerry Norton's videos and just everybody's videos in the industry I was watching in order to learn the business. Now, one thing I do want to mention is because there's way more information out there today, you don't want that to hold you back. It can propel you forward, but it can also hold you back because when there's all this information out there, you feel like there's every answer out there. So what you're going to do is you're going to wait to take action till you find the perfect answer for every question. For me in 2019, I didn't have every answer online, so I wasn't searching for each one. So once I had enough information, I knew there wasn't probably going to be much more out there for me. So I was willing to go chase after it, take action right away. So that's one thing you want to be weary of. Don't let it hold you back. Have it propel you forward. And that's what I think.
Yeah, and to add to that, I think initially you have to be really curious, right, and open-minded. And somebody told me this when I was 18, and it stuck with me forever, but he's pretty blunt. And he said, you can't be broke and skeptical at the same time. Like choose one or the other, right? So you have to be bold and really know, to add to what you said, it's like you have to know what you want as far as an outcome, right? Do you want to make a certain amount of revenue? Do you just want this to be a passion project? And whether it's real estate or solar or aviation or whatever type of business, mechanic work, whatever it is, right? It can be all of those, but what's really going to propel you forward is getting around the right rooms, right?
I agree.
At 18, I was in every single meetup that I could possibly attend. I saw you at all of them.
Yeah, for me, it started online, on the internet, YouTube, watching stuff. But instantly, my next step was get around people that are doing it in person, talk to people, network, and learn. And
I think that's where it starts, like being curious, searching online on YouTube. There's a bunch of great channels like this one that you can continuously learn from. Going to meetups, events, investing $100, $300 to go to an event. I've been to events where the curriculum on stage wasn't the best, but I met the right people at it, and it ultimately led to something great, right? So just being curious and really knowing what you want. If you're super passionate about arts and crafts, like by all means pursue that. But if you're looking to reach a certain income level or just, change your family's lives or provide financial freedom for you and yours, then you have to really think sales and business in the business world.
Yeah,
So,
and you have to be willing to invest some money into your knowledge and into yourself. And so like you said, you've spent money on going to an event, and maybe the curriculum that they were teaching at the event, you didn't really get anything great from, or you already knew it.
Or it was too advanced for me at that point.
Too advanced, maybe. But you got one piece of information or one connection, and guys, as long as you get one thing, that's an ROI on whatever dollars you put in to learning, to investing in yourself, to going to an event. As long as you get one thing out of it, that's an ROI that could change everything for you. So keep that in mind. Like, as long as you get one thing valuable, it was worth it. And we've even spent tens of thousands of dollars and have unfortunately, but also fortunately, only got a handful of important things out of it. But those were game changers for us.
Absolutely.
So
I have a real example. When I was 18, I did 12 deals my first year. On deal number 3, I had like $12,000 in the bank, right? And this guy out of Washington, D.C. called me to close me on his 2-day event, right? And he's like, it's gonna be $5,000. He's like, this will change your life. And I'm like, okay, I have 12,000. I'm trying to budget. I have expenses every single month. So I paid it, right? I went to that event. I came back with like $2,500, right? And it was a leap of faith. And at that event, I learned how to cold call and skip trace in real estate, which ultimately now, I was way ahead of the game because now everybody does it and it still works. But what happened following that event, after I invested literally 80% of my net worth into it at that time, which was a lot, and I didn't have any parents to fall back to or other friends to loan me money. I was out in the real world at 18, 19 years old, right? Maybe like some of you guys are. And the next year, we closed 52 deals for $650,000.
Wow.
All from that one source.
It's crazy.
Right? So a $7K investment ended up, really generating and, building up on it.
And I have a similar experience with something like that too. Like, I started on YouTube, then I started going out networking a little bit, but then I invested money. I closed a deal for $30,000. I took $25,000 and I signed up for mentorship with you.
I remember.
And that was most of my money, right? At the time, I had done, that year, I did $120,000 in revenue.
Nice.
I think it was like 8 deals. But then I learned all that stuff from the mentorship. The next year, I did over 500,000. So I did almost 600,000 the next year. So it was day and night difference from getting the proper knowledge. And we're going to get into mentorships and all that a little bit later. But I want to go back to something you said as well. You said you can't be broke and skeptical at the same time. And I just want to touch on this. When you're young, you have to remember that you have free will to choose what you do any day of your life, right? Like, we're living in a video game. You get to build up your character and you can achieve whatever you want in this life. But we tend to forget that, or we get suppressed by societal norms or programming, because what happens is we're told, go to college, follow the normal route, right? But doing something amazing doesn't fit into societal norms.
It doesn't, no.
Building a great life, an amazing life, larger than average life doesn't fit into societal norms. So, you can't be broke or skeptical, right? You got to choose one. And so you're either going to stay in the same place, right?
And if you're young, it's best to do it when you're younger.
Yeah.
Less responsibilities. I am so grateful that, God blessed me with this path. And I hope that you guys choose to do the same.
Yeah, and so you have free will. Wake up the next day, decide this is what I want to chase after, research it, find people doing it, connect with them, and then chase after it with everything you got. Especially if you're young and you invest whatever you have and you fail, don't worry, you can start over and over again, right? Like, most of the people that we're friends with and that we network with, they're 35, 40, 45, 50 years old, and they have made, a decent amount of success. And we're young and we've made it to around their level a lot earlier.
Faster, yeah.
So it's like, if they're this successful and they maybe started their career at 35, why can't we start at 20 and fail 10 times over? We'll still probably end up where they are if we are willing to keep trying. So just never give up.
Yeah, I agree. I'm like, when I started at 18, I'm like, okay, even if it takes me until 30 to become a millionaire or have my first million, it'll be worth it.
You're already going to be way ahead of the curve.
And it happened like in a few years.
In Dallas, Texas with Orion.
Yes,
Orion's been on, how long have you been on InvestorLift for?
1 year, September 26th is the renewal.
I love it.
InvestorLift, absolutely 100%. Paid for this money back in like the first month. You got like access to all these buyers, click one button, you get sent out to massive amounts of buyers, the leads come in. And then what's cool is that we have a CRM that's kind of connected to InvestorLift, whereas when they text message you or they call you, it automatically get added to your buyers list. So within 1 year of being with InvestorLift, we've already added 55,000 buyers to our contact list, which is a good deal, my friend.
Right. So it's something to really strive after, because it really is possible.
Yeah, and that's another thing, to point out there is if you're just getting started, play the long game. Don't be so short-sighted. That's a lot of people have a lot of issues with that nowadays, just because we get everything instantly in this world, in this digital world. Like, guys, success takes time. Don't rush it. And if you're starting now, you're already ahead of the curve. So feel good and feel blessed about that.
Dang, you chose a hard one. Let's see. Oh,
Man.
you should have got this one, Luigi. Here, we're gonna build our roof here.
All right, whatever. It's all good. All right, so next question.
All right, here we go.
Advice for young entrepreneurs that just secured their first big payout. So let me do that again. Advice for young entrepreneurs that just secured their first big payout. Common mistakes, how to avoid impulse purchases.
Well, let's speak from experience, right? What was your first big deal?
Yeah, my first big deal was for $30,000. So my first deal that's a pretty big deal, so.
30,000. Yeah, I had a 40K deal off Craigslist.
Yeah, with like 3 houses, right? It was like a package? Or?
Oh, that was my first deal.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, it was like my 4th or 5th deal.
Where you made a lot.
Yeah, it was like a big chunk where I could prepay marketing and still have money. And I did what not to do. I went and bought a, I don't remember, 2012 like Dodge Charger or something with a nice exhaust. Retarded, right? But yeah, that's what I first did. Luckily, I had prepaid marketing. So I would say this, right? If you close a big deal, just wait a few days, because that rush will have you really considering like impulsive purchases. Like we just did a big deal last week for my aviation company. I'm like, okay, I have all this access to capital now. Like, should I go buy this or this? And I'm like, you know what? No, let's wait.
Yeah.
Let's wait. Like,
get off the high.
Yeah.
Of
so
money. Yeah.
I would go have a nice dinner, take your mom out, your girlfriend, wife, kids. But just wait a few days for that high to come off, and then create a game plan around that. Priorities are first. Like if you're in the real estate business, make sure you're prepaying, whether it's office rent or subscriptions or marketing or mentorship. And if you're in any other business, it's really the same thing, right? Priorities first, and just be patient, because you will be able to have fun and spoil yourself later on.
Yeah, I like that, talking about prepaying, because if you're worried you're going to go blow all your money, just go prepay all the stuff that's actually going to help your business, so that way you don't have access to the money anymore.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, early on, we every December we'd prepay like 50, 100K to Google ads for the
And that
next
also
year.
helps your tax return for that year,
yeah.
So for me, I fortunately took all my money from my first deal and invested it in mentorship with you. So I made a very smart decision and reinvested the money. I guess for me, I never kind of blew my money growing up. I always saved it. So it was kind of like, and I always saved it for a bigger purpose. I wanted to have the money to be able to, do something one day. And so.
What fueled that though? Because I think a lot of people, I didn't have that programming. It was like, if I make it, spend it.
My parents were always very conservative with how they spent their money, growing up, so I just witnessed it. They never wasted money, like ever. And that kind of can give you a scarcity mindset with money and make it hard for you to invest if you grow up watching that. But that's a downside. But then there's also the benefit that I learned, be very careful with your money. It's not easy to get, but it's easy to blow it. Absolutely. And I learned that. And so that's why I think I was programmed like that. I think it did have to do with that, but then I think also a lot of people are born that way too, where they're just like, they always just save their money for a bigger purpose, and it was just kind of built into me. So I invested it in something really good. I invested in mentorship to learn how to take my 2 cold callers that I had and scale it up to 30 cold callers and make $1 million in a year. And that was amazing that I was able to do that and not blow the money. I didn't even really buy anything to reward myself. But I think for the viewers, something important to, pinpoint is money, right? Like the value of it. So for example, like $100,000 does really not go that far.
No.
So if you make 30,000 and you've never seen that type of money in your account, this money can be gone in no time. And even $100,000 is gone like this. So if you're gonna go buy something flashy, buy something like a car, I wouldn't buy one until you had $250,000 in the account, $500,000 in the account. And for me, I bought a BMW i8. It was like $68,000. I paid cash, but I had over $200,000 in the bank when I bought it. So I still had a year's worth of marketing in my account for my business when I went and bought this car.
Yeah.
So if you don't have a few $100,000, you shouldn't be buying anything expensive and flashy, in my opinion. And you got to really look at how quick money goes nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what impulses do young people have that drives them to either splurge or?
Yeah.
I think comparison is a big thing. It's like you look at social media and like that's really what drove me. Like I got my first supercar when I was like 20, 21, but I had a few $100,000 in the bank and the businesses were thriving better than ever. So
yeah. I think young people have every impulse and every desire that you could possibly have because it's literally in front of their face on the screen every single day.
Every scroll, yeah, you see
So it's really tough. And like even for me, of course I wanted a flashy car, I wanted this and that, but I made 30 grand or I made 100 grand and I wasn't gonna go make that decision to buy something flashy right away. Because the worst thing that could happen, and you need to think about this, is okay, everybody's doubting you, right? You're chasing after success and they're like, there's no way you're gonna make it happen. They're like, real funny, you think you're gonna become rich, right? You get all those haters, even your family, the closest people to you.
Especially your family, yeah.
They don't believe in you. And so now you're gonna go actually prove that you're able to make a lot of money and then you're gonna go blow it right away. And then guess what? If that money doesn't keep coming in, now what are you again? Broke with a flashy car. How embarrassing is that? You got to think about how embarrassing that is. Yeah. And so that's another thing that held me back from doing it. And so keep that in mind. But I mean, I fell victim to the screen, the social media. I wanted a flashy car, right? It's hard to avoid.
Absolutely.
But you can have it. Like there's nothing wrong with doing it. We've both bought nice cars, right? Yeah. There's nothing wrong with doing it, but you got to do it in the right way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what's important for young people is that you're going to have different cycles of your business and life, right? So, specifically in real estate, there was years where, or months or moments or quarters that deals were extremely easy to come by, right? You go on Zillow for sell by owner and I could wholesale it to a hedge fund for $50,000. And in 3 weeks, I have 50 grand, right? And it was like printing money out of thin air, right? And then there's moments on the downturn the last 2 years where it's extremely tough. Like you had to really know your underwriting. You had to make legit offers. Well, we always made legit offers, but
to cut your expenses back.
Competitive offers is what I meant. And yeah, expenses and there's a slowdown in business. So just because your first deal is easy or it's hard or just understand there's going to be different cycles. So you have to really value each and every single deal and every dollar that comes with it.
And the most important thing is staying in business as a small business owner, right? What do they say? Like 90% or something of small businesses go out of business in the first 5 years. Yeah. So as a small business owner, you want to be focused on making sure that you stay in business. Okay, so it's cool that you're rich all of a sudden and you have a nice car, but then the next minute you go out of business, again, it's embarrassing. I would rather have the money in the bank than have the car to be able to, bankroll my business to stay alive, because that, like you said, there's ebbs and flows. And at one moment you might be able to print money super easy in your business. The next minute you're trying to survive. And then,
but and you've experienced both, right?
Yeah, experienced both.
Yeah, we both have,
at a young age, and it's stressful, man. And you learn a lot. It's a blessing though at the end of the day because you grow a lot as a person. But yeah, what you want to do though is you want to make sure you keep that foundation. I'd rather have the money to keep the foundation of my business than have the flashy car so I can survive to when it's easy to make the money again. It's all about getting through those dry patches so then on the other side you can have massive success once again.
Yeah, and even when you don't think you need the money in the account, it's better to have it than better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yeah.
So, like at one point, when I was 21, 22, I bought 2 supercars, I had an R8, a Bentley, and like 2 watches on each wrist. I'm like, and because I didn't need the cash in the account, everything's producing. But I definitely missed out on opportunities that I look back, I'm like, dang, if I had that extra $200,000-300,000 I spent, you know, I could have invested in a few like pretty cool land development projects or new builds, or in 2021, I had tons of sub 2 opportunities that I missed out just because lack of capital, and I allocated for business. But, you know, so just have the big picture. And if you're starting at a young age, you will be able to do whatever the hell you want, but you have to really be disciplined along the way.
Yeah, and not to like shit on anybody, but I know both of us, we look at people coming up and we see them buy these flashy cars, but we know they don't have money in the bank. So it's like, it means nothing. So you understand, people that are running real businesses, have been doing this for a long time, you know, actually have a successful business, they can tell whether you just have one flashy car and like 10,000, 15,000 in the bank, or whether you have a flashy car and you actually have money in the bank in a real business. Like it's day and night.
It's not hard to get a super fancy car. All you need is like 20, 30,000 and good credit. And that's not to promote you getting one. That's just to say, like, don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Yeah. And like, I wouldn't want to have a flashy car and not have money in the bank. I would just feel bad about myself. Like, I don't really deserve this.
The flashy car you want,
it.
the flashy car you want is a profitable business. So get that car.
Yeah, it can be too with marketing. Get your name out there with the flashy car, but.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Let's see.
Smash. Oh God.
Oh,
We're like 1 for 1 every time we.
That was probably one that's going to make it challenging again too. I don't really know how to play. I think just making it harder for both of us.
you're supposed to put the pieces on top. I completely forgot to ask.
We're making a house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Next question. How to avoid shiny object syndrome? Starting unnecessary ventures.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I could start up this one off. So segueing off the last topic, right? Once you do have a successful business and you have a little bit of money to play with, and you have a better network, and you know your network's bringing you opportunities, you know it's really easy to get swayed from what got you there, right? It's like, so you have to be really aware of, okay, what if it's real estate or whatever business you're in that got you to find that success. Always remember that, right? Because other businesses, you may love them, but they may not love you back. And with real estate, I've always loved real estate, and it's always loved me back, right? And other businesses, I've made tons of mistakes, but valuable lessons that I learned along the way, but it cost me, right? Like the first shiny object syndrome was starting a solar company, right? At the height of 2021, 2022, with real estate was amazing. Right, we invested $250,000 into a solar company, and guess how much of it I got back? Zero, actually negative, because we had to pay off the accounting and employees and breaking leases and whatnot. So, and that's not to say that solar isn't a successful business, but I didn't put the same attention and energy and love into the solar as I did with real estate, right? So, their capacity is a real thing. Now, if you can invest into a company where there's operations and management in place, okay, that's a different story. But if you're starting something from scratch, you're going to have a really tough time winning at both.
I agree. When I started to become successful, I had business partners or friends bringing me opportunities, and they looked exciting. But if I would not be here today if I didn't keep my focus. Focus as an entrepreneur is one of the most important things to your success. If you spread yourself too thin, you're not going to have success. So I'm super grateful that I was able to remain focused. I think what's enticing about other ventures is the building phase can be fun. It can be new and exciting, but ultimately, if you're crushing it in one vertical, just chase after that. You're gonna just pull away from what you have. But
what do you mean by that? Because I feel like the verticals in real estate are endless, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the thing. Like with your real estate business, there's other, tangents off of it that you can become successful in, that you can make money in. Right. So if it's not going to fall in that circle of your real estate wholesale business, the real estate wholesale industry, and you're jumping ship to something completely different, that's not good. But I would say that you still have focus if you're making money from tangents that come off of the wholesaling real estate business. And I think that is okay. But I think you do need to evaluate how much time you're putting into those. Because again, the main thing's going to be the main thing that's going to make you the most money. And that's going to be acquisitions, buying deals cheap and selling them, your wholesale business. And remaining as focused on that as possible is important. But I'd also say that I've had a lot of success with building my personal brand in the real estate wholesale industry. So it's still in the same type of business. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have these relationships. I wouldn't be able to learn from other people. It's helped me a lot. So, but while building my brand and working on growing my wholesale business, I was always constantly evaluating the time that I was splitting between the two. And a lot of times I would feel guilt for putting time into my personal brand and away from my wholesaling business, because I knew it wasn't going to produce as much income for me as from what I was seeing. So I would feel guilty for putting time into it.
Yeah,
so I was constantly evaluating.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I want to expand on that you said is there has to be synergy or alignment with your core operation, right? So like you mentioned personal brand, but you made it in real estate. If you started personal brand on, I don't know, mechanic work, like that doesn't, there's no congruency. Or just
general, to start as like a general entrepreneur brand, it wouldn't make sense either.
Yeah, so they have to feed each other. So if you're, let's come up with the scenario, right? Like you have a successful real estate business, you're doing fine, you got plenty of cash in the bank, right? And you have different opportunities coming your way, right? What prompts can you ask yourself to make sure that you're making a logical and congruent decision, right? So one, does this opportunity align with my core business and my core competence, right? Does this align, right? And you know, for example, with real estate, if it's okay, I have a new build opportunity. Okay, there's alignment there. Okay, I want to start a podcast, personal brand for real estate. Okay, there's alignment there. Hey, I want to start fix and flips. Hey, I want to start a hard money lending company. Hey, I want to do more sub twos. Hey, I want to do creative finance. You know, I want to buy notes, sell notes. There's a lot of congruency in all those verticals. And that's what you're looking for, right? When I made the mistake of starting a solar company, there was no congruency, right? Unless I was generating solar leads and I was a big marketing company, but I wasn't, right? I was doing cold calling and PPC, and I thought I could take those same skill sets and adapt it, but it's an entirely different process. There's no congruency with that. And there's other opportunities that we made, and, you know, and it just wasn't our core competence, right? So as far as having an honest conversation with yourself on like, hey, just because you're good at this, is this my highest and best, right? Because for me, I know I can generate, you know, 6 figures a month with real estate time and time again. It's like the track record, you know, proves itself for me internally, but I don't have that same proof of concept in the solar business. I've never done that. Right. So, yeah. And just because you're good doesn't mean that it's going to love you back. So for me, it's really finding that congruency in decisions, and then just making sure that your skill set and the vertical aligns with your core business.
Yeah, and then I think it's also important, like you were mentioning, capacity. Also weigh your capacity into the equation. So like for me, I had opportunities to start a call center and, you know, get VAs for people, right? Yeah. And that aligns with the real estate wholesale business. But then I had to weigh in my capacity. Do I have this much time? There's a lot of heads in that business, a lot of people, a lot of different people to deal with, right? So it becomes very time consuming dealing with people, HR, all that, with scaling a cold calling business. I was really good at hiring cold callers and building out my own cold calling team. For me personally, I had almost 40 cold callers working directly for me in an office in Mexico. I could have got a way bigger office down there, scaled to 100 agents, sold them out to people. But I'm like, dude, I'm going to have to deal with 100 people, pay 100 people, manage 100 people, train 100 people.
Hire, fire, train, yeah.
And now how many clients are there that we're, you know, providing the service for? That is so many people to deal with. Do I have the capacity to do that while doing my wholesale business? No. And so I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just be as successful as possible with the cold callers for myself, for my business, and not sell it to other people. And so that's another important thing to bring into the equation there.
How did you know that you were stretched too thin for that? Was it the stress, or just logically it didn't make sense, or?
Logically, it didn't make sense. Dealing with that many people is a very tough business. It wasn't one that I wanted to be in. And then I was stretched too thin. I mean, I'm trying to build up a big sales team here in the US to close the deals, trying to grow my wholesale business. And then it was always this battle between how much time am I putting into building my personal brand, my YouTube channel, my social media, and my real estate business. And I was already like wanting to just divvy my time up, like 60% my wholesale business, 40% my personal brand, because I was getting the best return from both of those.
Yeah.
So adding anything else had to make a lot of sense for me.
Yeah, that's important. Like, and I look at returns as like what loves me back.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep going a lot to that because I'll share some experiences later on. But if it loves you back and it's giving you a return, it's like, don't always move to the next thing, like expand on that. There's been people that paid us for mentorship and they have, you know, an engineering business that is crushing, but they're just not putting the time into it. And we're like, hey, like this loves you back. Why are you not? And then they end up not doing our real estate coaching, end up blowing up their company, you know.
Yeah, you really got to identify what's working, what's giving you the best return. That's where you should be putting your time. Yeah. And just to go back to the main point of this question is focus is so important as an entrepreneur. Like you need that focus. So once you identify those things, focus on them. Like that's the book Traction, right?
Yep.
You love that book for scaling your business. That talks about focus probably in every chapter.
Yeah.
Almost.
And it reminds you every week when you do your level 10 meeting. So
yeah.
Oh God.
I just want to see that thing fall.
I think we're gonna make it fall pretty soon. Yeah.
Dude, what's going on here?
There we go.
Crash. Oh.
It's that I should have never took that first one.
Yeah.
All right. This one is a question about how do you stay disciplined, hungry, and willing to learn even after you make all this money?
I could start this one.
Yeah. Feel free.
Yeah, it's definitely okay. So how to stay hungry and disciplined and, you know, willing to keep chasing after it after you've been successful and make a lot of money. It's tough, honestly, especially when you do really well for a handful of years and then the economy, the market gets tougher. And then it's kind of like you're working harder, but for less money, right? Like that's how it's been the past 2 years, working just as hard or harder for less return. And that, you know, can be really taxing and demotivate you. For me, I've always had to go back to my why. And when I started in entrepreneurship, I thought it was cliche. Like everybody's just talking about their why to sound like they're a good person, blah, blah, blah. But as you get into business and been in business for a while and you have struggles in business, that's when your why and your purpose really shows. Why am I still showing up every day to keep my business alive, to keep succeeding? And that's when that why really comes through to motivate you. I'm doing this every day, even though I'm having to put in double the amount of work for half the return I was getting. I'm doing it for my family. I'm doing it for my ultimate long-term financial safety and success for the future family that I build. That's why I'm doing it. And that's what's helped me stick it through. And then at a certain point too, you have to decide if you're going to become motivated again. Like it's an internal decision. A lot of this stuff, it's all mindset. A lot of this stuff to become successful. It's about saying one day, this is who I'm going to be going forward. And that's the story. I'm going to be the guy that's going to be massively successful again. And I'm going to be the guy that's extremely motivated to do it. And so the past couple of years have been slow and difficult. And right now I have 50 cold callers. I'm scaling my business. I'm hiring salespeople. I'm building my company back up to the peak and even bigger. And that was because I made an internal character decision. Tomorrow, I am going back to the biggest success moment I've ever had. And I'm going to be extremely motivated to do it. So those are the two things. It's the why, and then it's just an internal decision with yourself, like, this is me. This is an identity. I am motivated to chase after my dreams.
Yeah, I agree. It comes down to the decision and the expectations that you place on yourself. Because nobody else is going to place those expectations on you, unless it's a mentor, which is super valuable, and that's where I kind of want to go with it. It's like, what gives you new perspectives and accountability are going to be the people that you surround yourselves with. The people that you surround yourself with. And for me, that's experiencing or networking with higher level people on a consistent basis, like gives me that motive,
Yeah.
that push. It gives you the perspective of like, hey, there is more, right? And the longer you're in the game, you're going to start meeting people that, you know, are winning more than you in different aspects of life, right? You may look at this person like, dang, that guy has an amazing family routine.
Yeah.
Like, I want that success. That's going to motivate me. What do I have to do? Maybe I have to delegate my internal business more, hire leaders, scale, you know, to give me that freedom. And then on the business side, it's like, okay, how can I reach those numbers, or how can I do, you know, development deals, or, you know, $1 million deals, you know, who's doing it, and how can I go after that, and what values and skill sets do they have that I can adopt to keep pushing that. So for me, looking into other successful people gives me the perspective on how to do it myself and then stay motivated along the way. But you're absolutely right. It's like the story you tell yourself every single day is going to be what becomes a reality.
Yep.
Right? If you have a, like for me, I journal every other day, every day. And for me, you know, it's like setting, you know, my 3 non-negotiables for the day and what I want to accomplish for the day, and just shifting and just penciling out your future, right? It's like, do you even know what your future looks like? Like, and I think a lot of the young people don't, right? Whether it's the past trauma or programming that they experienced that's delayed their vision, but having the vision for yourself is going to be that driving force on where you're going and where you want to go. And I promise you, any vision that you set out is absolutely possible, right? Like,
Yeah.
And because there's just so much more, there's so much evidence in our journeys not to be the case.
Yeah, and I was just with one of my buddies that I grew up with the other day, and he's like, what are your goals right now? We get together and catch up, and I'm like, I have this. I have like all these goals, right? Because I'm on a mission. And then I'm like, what's your goals? And he's like, I don't know. The kid's just lost. And I'm like, bro, well, have you picked up a pen and paper? Do you have a journal? He's like, never journaled before in my whole life. So I think the journaling's huge. And then, like you said, to stay motivated with the mentorship, having a mentor. Yeah, the accountability with that's huge. You as my mentor gave me massive accountability and pushed me to build a 7-figure business, because every week or 2 weeks, whenever we had I think it was every 2 weeks we had the calls.
Yeah.
It was like, you were supposed to do X, Y, and Z. Did you do X, Y, and Z? Good thing I took action.
You were doing it, yeah.
Yeah, there were people in the groups that did nothing. And
But results show.
Yeah, and it's like the kid that shows up to class without his homework. It's like, dude, it took 10 minutes last night.
InvestorLift sells 3,000 to 5,000 properties a month. And the cool thing is, the reason this company is worth so much, they have all the data. They know everything about every buyer and every market and every property.
Every buyer in America has a profile.
Every buyer in America.
Do your homework. But yeah, I did everything you said. I had that accountability to do so. And that pushed me, you know, that has kept me motivated I was with you guys for a couple of years in the mentorship, I think. So that drove me for a while. But now it's more getting around and networking with people, like, you know, seeing that they're doing 2, 3, 4, 500,000 a month in revenue.
Right.
And it's like, there's nothing different about me and them. I can achieve the same success. So that motivates you and shows you what's possible. But you got to remember that nobody is, you know, everybody puts their pants on the same way you do, right? We're all human. And so you can achieve whatever these other people are achieving. And so don't let it be like, make you feel like, why am I not crushing it? It's all about opening your mind, realizing you're able to, and then having that, instead of making you feel bad, like, why am I not doing it? Instead, have it motivate you. It's all about perspective.
Absolutely. And to get a little personal with the audience, you know, when I was 18, 2 months before graduation, I discovered wholesaling real estate. And at that time, if I go back to those years, like what motivated me, it was pure scarcity or lack of, right? It was living in a trailer home, not having $100 to my name. You know, my parents just divorced. It was pure necessity, right? It was the necessity of life, right? Like I did not want to live that way. And internally, as entrepreneurs, and especially if you're watching this, I know that a lot of you guys have that burning desire to do better and be better in life. And otherwise you wouldn't probably be this far on the podcast.
Yeah.
But with that said, that was my motivation initially, right? It was like pure necessity, right? I need food, water, shelter, and, you know, that's probably it at that time, because I didn't have any love where I felt at that time I didn't. So that was my first motivation, like get out of these situations, right? So for you guys that are just starting or you're in a very tough spot, that should be your only motivation. It's like to provide food, shelter, stability, and water, and Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like on what do you need to get to the next step. So, you know, the mission of, you know, providing for others and helping others and, you know, making a difference in the world, that may not be the step that you should be at right now. Sometimes you have to be selfish to be selfless later on, and that's where your focus should be. It's like, take care of you. I've met so many people struggling that are trying to take care of others that they neglect themselves, and they just prolong their success or delay their success. So just understand where you are in the process, but take care of you first. Build you up, right? Pour into yourself before you start pouring into others, and then it'll change later on. When I was, you know, 19, 20, like, okay, I wasn't struggling for rent or food, or I had stability in my life. I had savings. I was okay. But then I looked around at all my family and friends at that time, and I'm like, damn, everyone's struggling. Like it's tough out here. And that fueled me to, okay, I want to build a business, right? This is not just about me anymore. I'm going to build a business, going to bless the closest to me. And I was able to do that. I was able to provide so much stability and for my family and those around me that, you know, I'm grateful for that. So my motivation then changed to, okay, I want to build a business to help everybody around me, right? And then that kept growing. It's like, I want to build a bigger business to help those externally around, those watching, those listening, those hearing to the podcast, those reaching out that need help. And we know we can help. Just like you joined, you know, at that time, the mentorship, it's like, it started with me, close friends and family, then everybody else. And now that became a ripple effect, and the tree to change thousands of lives is what I believe. So.
Yep. And it's, you know, like you say this, and like when you're on a plane, they say, put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. You're not going to be able to help anybody else until you fill your own cup, until you work on yourself, build yourself a foundation.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you're just going to be, you know, helping others and leaving yourself with no gas in the tank to make anything happen that's actually going to be substantial. You won't be able to make that ripple effect. You won't be able to help all these people if you never build that foundation for yourself in the first place. Sometimes you got to be selfish to make it out, and then that's when you can be selfless.
Absolutely.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Oh, geez, dude. I'm going to just cheat.
Oh, man.
Hey, I don't know if I want to do that to us yet, but I might have to.
You got to think 2 steps ahead.
Dude, this is really not good.
Do it.
Do it.
Okay,
Oh,
that's better.
I think this one's better. Yeah.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
Oh, shit. Oh, my.
Boom.
There we go.
There we go.
The house is building up.
Okay, so this one's going to be a fun one. I want to do this that way we can get it out of the way, but go on your phone, download the InvestorLift app.
I have it.
You do?
I do.
Yep, I got
My
it
phone's over there,
too.
though.
Oh, dang.
You want to give it to me?
Yeah. Wait. So you downloaded it.
Yeah, I'll
How
do
is it? So how is it helping your business?
Dude, we wouldn't be able to operate if it wasn't for InvestorLift.
Yeah.
Really? Just talk about it. Like, talk about like why.
So
this
our
is-
business, copy our website, but if you do, whatever, abundance. But get 50 to 60 leads a day from LeadZolo. They're our preferred partner, and building a big portfolio with them. So we get leads nationwide, and back in the day, you used to be able to farm or build your cash buyers list locally, right, and build reputation. Like here in Phoenix, I have my own cash buyers list, but we're doing a deal in like Athens, Georgia, I think it's called, and deals all over the country. And if it wasn't for InvestorLift, we wouldn't be able not only to find the most qualified buyers, but really it's saving the time. Like I think like the time and the time that you save is worth the entire investment, because the old alternative prior to InvestorLift was hiring somebody full time for that, and you pay them, I don't know, $48,000 a year and some commission for somebody quality to go through that and farm buyers and find them. So, I can't speak highly enough about InvestorLift. We wouldn't be able to operate without them due to the nationwide deals that we're doing. But even if you're just in a local market and you want to save hours and hours and thousands of dollars trying to figure it out on your email campaign, it's just so easy to just plug and play. So that's my feedback.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't be able to run my business without InvestorLift. We're doing a bunch of nationwide ads, whether it's on Facebook or Google. And so we're getting deals all over the country in random markets, and there's just no way to like build up a cash buyers list every time you get a deal. So without InvestorLift, we wouldn't be able to sell those deals. Also, I think, so InvestorLift makes it super easy to be able to become a virtual nationwide wholesaler, or even become a virtual wholesaler and dominate one single market, because it can deliver you that buyers list in that market right away. Like, you can choose a market where you don't live, and instantly selling a deal will become no problem at all with InvestorLift. So I love InvestorLift. And then as far as the app, I know you guys have been working on it for a minute, and no, it's super, super good, like seamless, no lag, works great. And then my favorite part about it is being able to go in, like we'll get text message notifications whether we got an offer from a buyer, but being able to go in on the app and see which buyer and what the offer is right there on your phone is good, especially as entrepreneurs. Like, we don't necessarily always have to be in the office. So we could be traveling, moving around, and being able to have access to our business on our phone is key. So glad the app came out. It's super helpful.
All right, cool.
Absolutely. The UI is sick too.
What do you like about the app?
My team loves the app. Let's put it that way first. Just simple, accessible, and on the go. I run a virtual team. So having the ability to just look briefly from my end on what deals, or honestly, because we've bought deals from InvestorLift before too, so that's a pretty cool aspect as well. But get the app. If you don't have the app, get the membership. If you don't have the membership, get the app.
So this leads it into the next question, which is a good question. How did you both meet Robert, and how has that affected your business?
That's a great question. I'll go first. I believe I met Robert initially. It might have been a San Antonio event. And then, no, actually, I heard of Robert through Nick Perry. We did this development mastermind, and Nick Perry, like, this is like long time ago, like 6-7 years ago probably. And Nick Perry was raving about InvestorLift and how it's changed his business. And at that time, he was nationwide and we were nationwide, but we were doing all the manual way of finding buyers. So he put in a great word, and then like a few days later, like we signed up for the cartel. So we were like maybe client, I don't know, 10 to 15 or something, which I still need my hat, but I haven't got it. But so I heard of Robert through Nick Perry, and then that led to him coming down to one of our events, our all-in events, and it, from the start, he just opened his doors, like whatever we needed. Later, he ended up sponsoring and helping blow up Closures Olympics, and he's just been a huge asset to not only Closure Olympics, but All In at the time, and now with our current real estate company, just providing ultimate support and access. And yeah, it's been an awesome experience with Robert, and I'm glad he's the lead and the soul of InvestorLift.
Yeah, I met Robert probably like 3 or 4 years ago on one of the early Zoom calls of Robert selling InvestorLift himself.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah, so that's where I met him. And then, like being on InvestorLift and, being direct to the source, right? To show me exactly how to use it to benefit my business the most has been so helpful. So being involved with InvestorLift with their software to sell deals has helped my business so much. We're selling deals for more, we're making more money, we're able to do deals all over the country. So as far as the InvestorLift software, so helpful. But then as far as him moving here to Scottsdale, Arizona,
I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I'm like,
yeah.
First of all, you're coming back too, so I'm like, yes.
Yeah. So I live in that building right there. So I am neighbors with Robert. So I get to connect, collaborate, and learn from him and his company every single day. You know, we're hanging out all the time, we're making content, and we're collaborating to help each other grow. And that's just so beneficial, you know, for both parties. So
what I admire the most about Robert is I've learned more and more over the years on how he operates, and he just pays for speed. He doesn't cut corners. He'll hire the best talent. He'll hire the best developers and the best people around him, and he just does not cut corners.
Yeah,
that's the best thing about, like,
he brings everybody that's the best in, and living right next to that, I get to be involved with everybody that's the best at what they do. So, you know, interacting, meeting, networking with those people that are the best at what they do, whether it's Scotty with the credit or just everybody, Nick Perry's coming by all the time. Like, I get to collaborate with all these people that are geniuses in their space, and it's just helped me so much. So, and Robert's a go-giver. Like, he wants to help other people succeed, you know, because that he gets such a reward out of that. You can tell when he sees other people win, that's so fulfilling for him. And so I'm just super appreciative for everything InvestorLift and Robert has done for me.
Yeah, mutually. Yeah, grateful for sure. Gulp. My hands are all sweaty. God.
You could do that one.
Just breathe, Alex.
Pretty good.
go.
But for some reason, I think you're going to make it fall. I'm betting right now.
Make bets.
What do you guys got?
All right. So how do you find a mentor, and how do you conduct yourself around them once you sign up with a good mentor?
I'll start it off. I think first it's important to know where you are in your life, right? If you have money, then you can create your time. If you don't have time, then you can pay with money. And what I mean by that is understand what your budget is actually, and understanding where you are in your business journey, right? Like, if you don't have the money to attend a $5,000 event, like, you know, I did, or 25,000, 30,000 into mentorship like you did, you know, there'll be a time for that, right? But initially, my mentorship was straight YouTube. Like, it was YouTube University, and there is an overwhelm that may come from that, right? So, like, I would advise for you to stick to like 2 or 3 channels max, maybe 2 max, because you want to learn their specific strategies from that one person. Because if you start jumping video by video, everybody runs it different, so it's gonna be hard to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So if you don't have money, YouTube's a great start. If you do have money, I won't specifically say any mentorship programs at the moment, but I'll give you some framework that'll help you. And one is, you know, does the person I'm aspiring to get coaching from or be like or emulate, what are their values, right? Is it flashiness, chains and cars? Like, you know, and I'm saying that because I did that, but I'm also given the perspective of, aside from all that, like, what are their values, right? Because although I had chains, watches, cars, and all that fun stuff, the message we were preaching was quite different from that, right? So make sure that the message that they're giving is what you desire in your own life, right? So really, the values that they have, do you align with those? That's a great way to start that. And then any mentor or person you learn from, they're not going to have it all figured out, right? And there's the saying on don't, you know, meet your heroes because they'll disappoint you. And that's actually true. But at the same time, you can learn from not only what they provide, but also their mistakes and lessons, depending on how transparent they are. So make sure that you learn with an open mind, but not everything somebody says is concrete, right? Like, and it doesn't matter who. Like, I've paid mentors 6 figures for a year on coaching, and there's some things that I align with extremely, and there's some things like, okay, hey, that's, you know, it's not my personality, too bold for me, too harsh for me. Like, I'm not that cutthroat. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so you'll have those realizations. But that's some good advice to, you know, do the values align with who I'm trying to learn from, and 2, just as a reminder, keep an open mind, be curious, but not everything somebody says is concrete.
Yeah. I would say that, you know, if it's not broken, don't fix it. the way I got mentorship, I would say follow the same thing that I did. So what I did was I was watching you on YouTube.
Yep.
And so that's who I was initially learning from. And I felt like I could relate. He was young, he started young. So it made sense to see if there was anything further, any type of mentorship I could learn from. Then I realized that it wasn't just Alex, it was Alex, Sal, and Carlos. So I was able to get 3 mentors. You know, I was able to get 3 mentors. You guys are very different, each of you. So I was able to learn from 3 different, very successful businessmen. And that's simply what I did. It's identified who I could relate to, that I was already learning from, that I was feeling like I got the best knowledge from, like they were explaining it to me in a way that I could understand, right? If somebody's explaining stuff to you on YouTube and you feel like you're left constantly confused on where to go next, they're probably not the mentor to sign up with, because their communication, the way they communicate isn't the best for your learning style. So you're gonna wanna make sure that when you are watching content, pick the person you're retaining the most information from, and that's leaving you with the least questions, right? That's leaving you feeling like you have everything answered. And your content made me feel like that. And then I was able to sign up with 3 people. Sound like a great deal to me. And so I signed up, and it changed the game for me. I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't have made this much money in real estate if it wasn't for it. So forever grateful.
And when you're starting, right, you're seeking for a mentor, it's important to know what level you're at as far as your knowledge base, right? And what I mean by that, so if it's real estate, we'll keep it real estate specific. Initially, to get to the final result and the success, there's 4 steps, right? Number 1, you have to begin to understand the business. Like, okay, what's wholesaling? What is cold calling? What is skip tracing? What is PPC? What is investor lift? What is cash buyers? Like
the basics.
The basics of it. Understand, right? And to understand, I wouldn't necessarily advise anyone to get a mentor for that, because that's very basic fundamentals of the business, which is all on YouTube.
I would say if you hire a mentor without knowing those basics, you're wasting your money, because
you're not speaking the same language.
And they're gonna have to just basically warm you up on all the stuff you could have just got your foundation on before jumping in.
And people try skipping that step. Like it's imperative that you learn those basics, because one, no mentor wants to hop on a call and teach you what a cash buyer is, right? You should be doing that due diligence and that research yourself. So whether it's buying a $200-300 course, I know you have a course, and I'd recommend his because I know that he understands the business, right? And I'm gonna circle all this to make sense, right? So first, it's understand the business, right? So the very basics, and you can do that all through YouTube, books, podcasts, especially podcasts. Understand the basics. And it's okay if you're watching a video and you just don't understand because it's too complex. Again, your intention is to understand the business. That's level 1. And then 2, through understanding and really involving yourself and being consistent in the learning process, you're going to begin to comprehend the business. And comprehension is you being in a conversation at an event and being able to talk that subject.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, okay, we're talking about investor lift. Like, I understand what it is, but do you comprehend it? Oh yeah, I've used it. I signed up. I did a trial. I did a free call. Blah 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 blah. I know what it is. I know what it does. I can comprehend it. So you can be in conversation, right? And through understanding and comprehending, with plus time and consistency, you're going to have the knowledge. And once you have the knowledge, you have the ability to act. And then how do you get the knowledge? By doing, right?
Yeah.
So as you understand and comprehend the entire business and what you're striving for, through that consistency, you'll begin to get the knowledge, right?
Yeah.
And there's one more. There's one final step, and the final step is wisdom, right? And when you're looking for a mentor, make sure that they have the wisdom. And how do you know somebody has the wisdom? By knowing all the first 3, right? Okay, does this mentor comprehend? Do they understand? And do they have the knowledge? And wisdom is through time and experience, right? So, and that's not to say, and I wouldn't look so much at the time in business, because I was coaching people when I was like 20 years old. I think you as well, right?
Yeah.
And so did we have 10 years of experience? No, but we can teach people a very specific thing that we have the knowledge and the wisdom and the failures and the wins to do so. So could we teach you how to do a 100-unit development? Probably not. Like, no, like I don't have the wisdom. I'm barely in comprehend and understanding of it, right? I don't have the knowledge yet. I just have a basic understanding. So, but specific with wholesaling, we have the knowledge and the wisdom. So we are able to help the next person because we do have that. And there's a lot of people that will make the mistake of hiring a mentor that only understand and comprehend the business.
Yeah. You need that experience.
Yeah, you
as
need
well.
that experience.
Make sure they've been in the business for a couple years, have done over 100 deals. Once you've done over 100 real estate transactions, you've seen basically most of the crazy stuff that can happen.
Absolutely.
So you're going to have that wisdom, and then, yeah, make sure you have that foundation, because if you pay money for like a 6-month mentorship and you have to learn the basics, you're going to waste your first 2 months, half the mentorship on getting up to speed, when you should jump into that mentorship and start building right away. That's exactly what I did. I'd already pretty much got my first deal, got in this mentorship. Now I knew the foundation of everything. I had done 1 transaction. I had a full understanding of the business because I'd actually went from contract to close on 1 deal. Now I jump into mentorship, time to build. Let's build a real business.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very important to know, like, no mentor is going to teach you everything. So like whatever specialized skill set or process they have, like that's what you're really paying for, right?
Yep.
I couldn't teach you how to do 100-unit development. I'm paying somebody to teach me right now. I couldn't teach you that, but in 5-10 years I probably could, because I will have that knowledge and experience.
Yeah, and if a mentor's telling you that they're going to be teaching you all these different things, they're probably not a good mentor. You want a mentor that's focused on one topic, one sector. And like for me, I've hired tons of different mentors for all the different things that I'm doing. Like,
yeah, like you hired a PPC expert, right?
Yeah.
But you don't expect them to teach you how to disposition deals.
No.
It's like, so there has to be an alignment.
And I don't
of what you're
expect
paying.
them to teach me other marketing channels.
Yeah, exactly.
They're there for that one marketing channel. I've hired a mentor for how to grow my YouTube channel and how the YouTube algorithm works. I don't expect them to teach me about Instagram. Like, it's that you don't want somebody that's saying, we're going to teach you everything about this. That's never going to work. So
what are some things to look out for those starting, right? I think one, it's like your first mentor, in my opinion, after you understand the wholesaling process and say you've done a deal or 2, 5 deals, I think the first thing that you should invest in is your sales skills. Like, you need a sales process, you need to refine your sales skills. And that's what we did early on. Back in the day, this guy, John Martinez, I don't know if you remember him.
I still have my team going through it's like stuff they give car salesmen, right?
Yeah, it's a little outdated, but we were like fresh back then with it.
Mm-hmm.
But like we invested, like I sent 2 of my acquisition guys like to Missouri, somewhere in Missouri, small little town, Springfield, Missouri, I think. And it was like $6K investment, and they came back with the sales process, and we were able to really effectively close. So I think refining and investing in your sales skills, and then once you have that consistency in deals, going to a operational type mentor on how to scale your business, and that would be probably like the 2 steps that I would recommend.
Yeah, I agree. I think the most important things is going to be lead flow, so marketing, and then sales. Like, that's what you need to be worried about at first, and then from there, scale, right?
Yeah, and then later on, specialized knowledge, right?
Yeah.
It's like like we just hired Sharper Consultants to come into our business and scale that out. So we meet with them next week, and they're scaling business purpose only. We don't expect them to teach us marketing, right? So, but yeah, that'd be the process.
What's his name? Was Sharper?
Harper.
Yeah,
Harper.
A couple people have hired him.
Yeah,
lately,
we'll see. Yeah.
I've also, like, Brandon Simmons has came by my office to teach us creative finance.
Yeah.
So I didn't have Brandon come in to teach us how to scale our wholesaling business or
Very specific,
how to acquire deals. No, it's how to convert the leads we already have into sub-2s creative finance. Very specific. So pinpoint what you're looking for and find that person. And then, I mean, vetting your mentor, make sure that they are the real deal. I mean, it could, like, simple things to look for, like, have they burned their reputation in the industry or not? Go look at who's following them back on Instagram. Like, if everybody's following them, that probably means they are good with everybody in the industry. They haven't burned any bridges.
Yeah, that's important.
You could ask for HUDs. You could ask for closing statements, right?
Ask for HUDs, ask for success. There's successful students. I think I've sent a few people over to you, like, hey, this guy's interested.
Thank you. Yeah. So, Make sure you're
Yeah.
vetting them.
If they don't have success stories, then that's concerning.
Yep.
All right. I do want to add into that as well. I want to say that a big thing that I've noticed is preparation, just being prepared, because like for myself, I met my mentor by accident. Zach Heaps is my mentor, right?
Yep.
And we've been together, you know, shooting content and having fun. But the thing that's I'm really happy that I was prepared for was being prepared to also give value.
Serve, yeah.
Yeah, because if you're able to give value to your mentor, that's a big step up.
Absolutely.
Huge. So
100%. So you met Zach, you had a skill, videography. You're super good at making content.
It wasn't construction.
So-
right? Yeah.
Hello? You just closed a deal on InvestorLift for $100,000? Well, that happens all the time. I talk to wholesalers all day, every single day. And the number one problem they have? Buyers. If you're struggling with low assignment fees, deals not moving, contract fallouts, or having to consistently JV with other people, don't waste time, don't waste money. Come to InvestorLift today and see how we can help you. Just click on the link right below.
Hell yeah, give me 10 minutes.
Right. So you were able to bring something to the table. Guys, if you're just starting out, you're young, and you know, you're just going to school or you just got out of school, we need to start developing skills. You need to start developing yourself and start developing a skill that you have to offer. That's how you start building your value and having some value to bring to the table. That's extremely important to be able to network and connect with other people. And, you know, you didn't pay Zach for mentorship. So if you want to find a mentor for free, bring value. Zach's also one of my mentors early on. I sold Zach Keeps my first deal. So what did I bring? A deal. I brought value to the table. And now me and Zach have been very good friends ever since. And I've learned countless things from him, you know?
Oh, yeah, he saved me so much money and time. And
Yeah.
I love you, Zach.
No, it's me.
no, it's
Shoot.
Oh, that means I got the last one? Dang.
Oh.
I know where I'm going, though. Oh, God. Chad, we have to keep it the same. If you mix it.
oh man.
Oh, you're shaking up.
All right. So
There we go.
We probably made it easier by not stacking them, huh?
I like this question
Maybe,
because
yeah.
it does serve
Yeah.
to the last one. How do you keep a good reputation in this industry?
I'll go first. I'll give you guys a lesson that I learned on my first deal. And this was in a time of desperation, and I was living in like the weekly suite rentable suites in the hood in West Phoenix. And I got my first deal under contract. I was set to make $13,000. Super happy about it. Grateful after like 4 deals fell apart, 9 months of waiting and struggling and beating my head against the wall and knocking on foreclosed doors. So I was doing everything wrong. But I finally got my first deal under contract. I signed it for $13,000. I go to the title company to fill out like some information sheet on my company so I can get my assignment. And at the title company, as I'm walking out, the end buyer is walking in, right? And I greeted him, and then he's like, "Hey, you're the guy with the Tonto deal, South Phoenix deal." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." He's like, "Hey," he's like, I have a retail buyer for it. He's like, "We paid X amount for it." He's like, if we cut out the guy that assigned it to me, like you'll make $23,000 more." Straight up. And I don't want to say this guy's name, God bless him, but he told me that. And you have to remember what kind of mindset I'm in as far as a desperation. I have negative $200 in my account, or 200, one or the other. I have rent due. I had to borrow money from my buddy at the cell phone store to pay the rent that month. So I had a month in a suite where there's no eviction. Like if you don't pay, you're out. You're right. So I'm in complete desperation. And he dangled that carrot in front of me. It's like $23,000 on top of my 13. So that's a huge deal. And I'm 18 years old. I'm like, and I considered it. I'm like, I really considered it. And I even to the point where when he's asking me, I'm like, "Oh yeah, that sounds good. Like, I don't see how that'd be a problem. Like, okay, I'll get back to you." I exchanged numbers with him because I'm green in real estate, right? So I called my buyer later on, this guy, Jose, like 50 rentals here. And I'm like, "Jose," I'm like, "Hey, I wanted to communicate with you. I'm going to sell this deal to another buyer." I told him, I'm like, "I'm going to sell this deal to another buyer." I was able to get a little more. and just wanted to communicate with you and ask, for the blessing.
Yeah.
That's how I framed it, and that probably gaslighted him a little bit, because it would have been a blessing, but it wasn't later. It wasn't at that moment. And what he said, he's like, "Hey, Alex," he's like, "I've been doing this business for 20 plus years, and I know it's your first deal. A piece of advice, like your word means everything in this business." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's $23,000 more, man. Like, that's life changing. Like, it's absolutely life changer for me. Living in a trailer home, like $39,000 deal." I'm like, so he's like, "Your word means everything." And he's like, "Look, I'll let you do as you want. I'll make it your decision." It's like, "But if you want to be successful in this industry," I'm getting goosebumps, because he's like, "If you want to be successful in this industry, like, honor your word." And that night I couldn't sleep, because all I kept thinking about, like, 13,000, 39,000, or 36,000, 13,000, 36,000. I'm like, dude, like, what do I do? And I called him the next day and said, "Hey, I want to do more deals with you, and we'll just do it as is." And come to find out, that deal ended up getting daisy chained like another 50,000. So there's still more, and I'm sure the guy that tried to offer me more 23 was going to make more, because he's cutting out this guy.
Yeah.
So the deal ended up closing like 2 days later. I picked up my check for 13,000, but it really set the standard for how business should be. And I kid you not, because I did that guy ended up selling me like some of his rentals down the line, passing me deals that he passed up because he ended up moving to Mexico. Like, he blessed me. I made more than the 23,000 that I would have short-term made in that time. So over time, I've that's been my mindset. It's like, in everything that I do, it's like, honor your word and put people first versus profits.
Yeah. Similar story with me, and I'll get into that, but how do you keep your reputation in the business? It's very simple. Just do good business. It's a pretty simple answer. If you're not a scumbag, you're probably going to be all right. But similar situation with me. I sold my first deal to Zachary Keeps for $30,000. I was going to make $30,000. He went to lunch, met up with Templeton Walker, another guy that buys a bunch of deals in town. Zach said, "Oh, Temp was looking for something in Scottsdale." Zach said, "I just got this deal," and Zach marked it up 20 or 25.
Yep.
Temp took the deal, cool. But then it got sold up another like 10 assignments. So I could have made like 90,000, but I only made 30. Here's where the lesson comes into play. Like you, I call up Zach and I'm all upset.
You even called me, or you did a group chat.
Maybe, yeah. And I was like, "What should I do?" And I think you were like, "Well, you got to stick to it,
From that lesson,
Yeah. And so I call Zach up though, and I'm like, "Dude, what the heck? Why'd you?" And he's like, "You made yours, I made mine, and now other people are going to make theirs. Everybody wins." And I'm like, "Okay, that makes sense." And the big thing is, pigs get fat and hogs get slaughtered. So you got to be content with what you're making, be happy that you're getting a win, and move on to the next one. And for me, $30,000 was plenty enough money for me to go on and do more deals and get the mentorship and grow and get more callers, more marketing. So it was all I needed. And if I was going to be greedy, I could end up with nothing. And a lot of times in business, you'll find that. You'll find yourself being greedy. I find myself being like, "Oh, dude, well, we could make more. So wait, don't tell him yes yet. Wait." And then I go, "No, dude, that's not the right mindset and frame we want to be thinking in. Let's go with him. It's good, solid buyer. Let's do it." Like, so from that lesson early on, later in business, I go back to that lesson all the time. And then lost my train of thought. So you're going to have to jump cut, but I want to mention this.
It happens.
Sorry about something really good to say. What's the question again? Yeah.
The question is, how do you keep a good reputation?
To set the precedent.
Oh, yeah. So with Zachary Keeps, like I just mentioned with that other question about mentors, how Zach's been my mentor. If I went and said, "No, I'm not going to sell you this deal, screw you," I would have lost a massive opportunity, a relationship. It would have been a horrible loss for me, because I've sold Zach probably 50 to 70 deals in town, which is a ton of deals. He's one of my best buyers in town. He's taught me so much We're great friends.
Call away. Yeah.
He's a call away with advice. Like, so over some money, which I only needed the 30 was enough for me. Over some more money, you know, I would have lost out on hundreds of thousands of dollars of assignment fees I've made that Zach's paid me. So you got to literally, like, if you look back, it would have messed up a lot. So don't be greedy, and you know, make sure you
and
protect your
everyone's
reputation.
connected. I know in Phoenix here, it's very small, tight knit, right? So everybody hears about everything. So, you know, it doesn't matter how big of an investor they are or how small. Make sure you treat everybody with respect and ethics, and do the right thing, and then just be reasonable in your business sense. And what I mean by that is, like, I had a memorandum in Tucson that we got the deal, the seller ghosted us, and this buyer came in and closed it like 3 days cash before we got a title report. So they didn't see the memo filed. And I had it for like a year and a half, I had it for like 6 to 9 months. And then they renovated the house. They put it back on the market to sell, and it's pending for sale. But I have my memo, and it was like a $40K deal for us, right? And Vic Heredia calls me. He's like, dude, he's like, hey, this is one of my really good friends. Like, and it's the guy with like 200 homes down there. He's like, one of my really good friends. Yeah, yeah. He's like, one of my really good friends. Like, I know you have this memo. Like, what do you want for it? Like, you know, it wasn't really his fault. It was really the seller's fault. And I'm like, dude, and at that time, you know, things were going great. So I'm like, dude, because you just said he's a really good friend, I'm like, I'll just release it for nothing, right? And Vic could vouch for this story. And if we made a few grand, I don't think we did, but you can fact check me later. But I don't think we made anything on the deal, but it's just because of the value that I place in the relationships. And really, that guy owns like 200 homes, and he's a call away if I ever need anything in Tucson, right? So, so you know, could I have probably squeezed 10, 15,000 on a memo fee? Yeah, sure. But there's more value in having that relationship and access to their resources if you ever need them, than to just burn the relationship. Because if he would have paid me out on something that wasn't his fault, it was really the seller's fault, you know, there's a bitterness to that in business. Yeah. So just keeping everything clean. And for me, it's like, this is a game that I definitely don't plan to retire when I'm 30, which is only 3 years away now. But I want to be in this game forever, right? So if you have the perspective of, I want to be in this game forever, like, don't do something stupid in your 20s, 30s, 40s that is going to jeopardize your, you know, your real estate journey. Yeah. Because it does catch up. And you don't want to be the guy, because we hear it all the time, like, this guy burned this guy. I'm like, that's what I was gonna say. You don't want to be the topic in the conversation amongst real estate events or people that are doing real business in this industry.
Yeah, the final thing is, don't be naive to this, because we both know there's a handful of names where it's talked about, don't do business with these people. Like,
and it travels fast.
It does. Yeah. So don't be naive, like, oh, it's one little deal, like, it's not gonna. Dude, you could mess up your whole career. So don't be naive. If you're young getting into this, make sure you do good business, be honest, you know, show up with integrity every single time. And then you got nothing to worry about. You'll have a successful career.
Absolutely.
Alex, you're next.
Oh, God.
Last question.
I'm going for this bottom one.
There we go.
Boom. You guys are going to need to finish the game, by the way.
All right.
All right. So
I'll put my hands on.
This is the biggest question for me. And I know that it will definitely help a lot of the young entrepreneurs here. What is your biggest regret and why?
I think we all have some. It's hard to pinpoint the biggest one. I'd say the biggest one is probably early on with, like, my mental health, right? It's like just sacrificing all that was needed to be sacrificed for the pursuit of success, but other things, you know, struggled with as far as, like, taking care of myself. So just finding early on, I really feel like that, not stunted my growth, but definitely slowed down, because of all the mental challenges I had, like with my childhood traumas and not getting help or processing that fast enough. I'd probably say that on the personal side. On the business side, I would say not thinking big enough initially. Like, I was pretty content with, like, okay, 50, 100K a month, 150, you know, even if it was a 50K month, I was like grateful for it. But as you have more conversations throughout the industry, you'll realize like there's people doing $1 million a month. And when I start to really dive into that mentally, it's like, is it a skill gap? No, I don't believe so. I don't believe that their skill sets are more superior than ours. It's just really that's what they set out to do, right? So I think biggest regrets like just not thinking big enough from an early age. I would say those two things.
Yeah, for me, I think there's two. I regret caring what my friends thought or people in high school thought. I think my personal brand would be a lot further along if I started not caring.
That's a good I regret that now, actually. Sorry to interrupt you, but I regret that now. It's like not continuing and being consistent with personal brand because I feel like I have the message and the heart to do it, and it's just a consistency thing.
Yeah, like the thing is, nobody that's where you want to be or doing what you want to do is going to hate on you for trying. It's always the people that are doing the same thing and they don't want you to escape their box of what they think they can do in their life. So I wish I just stopped caring sooner. I still struggle with it sometimes caring, but that would have been a huge thing to push me forward if I just tried to put my name out there, you know, put out more content, not care what people think. And so I regret caring what friends thought because it did hold me back. And then another thing in business that I regret is not buying like any deals and holding them. I did own some stuff on seller finance, but it was only on a 3-year note. And that was great getting mailbox money from that. But I wasn't getting any of the appreciation and equity over time. And so I wish I bought more deals. If I bought even
one a year,
I'd be worth probably 5 times as much. My net worth would be probably 5 times more than it is today. So that's a big regret, but you can't, you know, change the past. So
I regret that too. Cause it's like, I look at the evidence, like, 2-3 investments right now in properties, the commercial building. And I'm like, dang, I'm grateful that I put 200 cause now it's 4 times or 3 times that. And I regret not buying more deals for sure, or keeping them. And then a big lesson that I learned that I regret is when COVID hit, I had plenty of capital. Businesses they actually started doing better because all the hedge fund stuff. But I was listening to too much fear I was listening to all the fear in the market, and I stayed out the market when I should have got into it. And one of my mentors, amazing Asian lady named City, I don't know if you know her. She owns a few hundred properties here. And she's like, hey, Alex, like, you never want to take yourself out of the market because of the noise. Like, if you have to reduce your exposure, like, that makes sense, but don't ever just sit on the sidelines. Yeah. And that really hit me because a specific deal that I regret is I had a lot in West Phoenix. It's a 7-figure mistake because this is how scared I was of the COVID thing and the market. I'm like, I don't want to end up back in a trailer home, which is super unreasonable to even think because I'm so far removed from that. Like, I'm like, oh, worst case, I just move into the office building or something. but I ended up, I had this piece of land in West Phoenix and it was like $75,000. And I had the cash to buy it. I was going to buy it. And then I ended up like wholesaling it to her. She's like, hey, you sure you want to sell this? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm not in the market right now. I don't want to buy anything. And she ended up entitling it, and she has like a 7-figure cash profit offer from a big developer for like, she ended up entitling it for 120 units. I'm like, damn, like I could have turned 70K and probably a few $100K in development costs to a lot. And she was very adamant, like, are you sure you don't want to keep this? I'm like, I'm good. Like, I want to stay out the market. So, and I'm sure we all have deals like that.
Yep.
So I don't really dwell on it. I dwell on the lesson of no matter where the market is, don't sit on the sidelines.
Yeah, and that's the good thing with us being young. Even though we didn't buy all these past years, we're still young. Like, we're still early on in building a portfolio or buying assets that are going to grow. Like, so we're in a good place still, which I'm super grateful for. And then I think this will be helpful to a younger audience. Like, why did I not buy more real estate and hold it? it was a few things. It has to do with social media, you know, the shiny object thing, like wanting to just build up cash, fast cash. Social media kind of programs you to be like that. And then also, I just was focused on wholesaling and having mentors that were talking about wholesaling. After I had built up a decent amount of capital, I should have tried to get closer with Zach Keeps or that lady you mentioned and try to get more mentorship from them on what I should be doing to buy. And now I'm kind of more talking to Zach a lot about that and trying to buy houses and hold them. But yeah, I think I should have shifted gears earlier on and also not just be worried about cash. Also, another thing, I was living at home with my parents up until like 2-3 years ago now. And so I always had somewhere to live. So I never was contemplating, oh, maybe I should buy something to live in or whatever. Yeah. And so kind of that shift helps me now as well to want to buy more. So if you're at home with your parents, still think about buying something to go move out and live into. And think about shifting to a buy and hold mentor. And also, it's not all about instant gratification and instant cash. Like you said, you could have bought that for 70 and entitled it 100 grand in costs, now made $1 million rather than 70. So keep that long play, that long vision in mind always, and always analyze your deals with different exit strategies to find the one that's going to make you the most money.
My final thoughts is...
I think I'm up, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that if you're listening to this and you're not pumped and you're not committed to starting and bettering your life, then this is probably not the podcast for you.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's refreshing to really hear our perspectives because it's like different journeys, but it's like all the similar kind of ups and downs. And it's evidence that like those that are long enough in the game, like they go through the same things. Like I'm sure Zach can resonate 100% with what we're saying. Robert.
You just got to keep trying, keep showing up every day. You know, a lot of people fell out of the market over the past couple of years. And that just comes down to giving up, right? If you never quit, you're going to win. Most of this stuff to become successful is mindset. It's really what sets you apart from being average. And again, I go back to that thing of the free will. Everybody has a choice of what they want to do every day with their life, what actions they want to take to get to the place they want to be at. And just got to chase after your dreams.
It's bait.
Damn, you really messed it up. Now it's leaning this way.
Wait, I mean, that one's already sticking out, isn't it?
It's not gonna go.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's not.
Oh, wait.
Oh.
I made it easy for you.
It felt like there was no way.
I just didn't have the angle.
Okay, there we go.
All right, speed run.
Wait, the top work?
No, it does not.
Oh, God.
You can't use the top two. It's cheating.
Well, that's going to fall.
Oh, man.
Oh.
Oh. Bro.
Speed run. He wants.
How is this even possible?
Oh my.
So I will say, if you guys have a deal or a perspective or a prospect for a seller,
no, dude.
me and Jacob will definitely help buy, help, close, sell the deal for you guys. So
Just reach out. Always.
and guess what we're going to be using? Investorlfit.com.
Let's go.
Okay. I'm gonna lose. Shit.
Just try. Do your best.
Oh, God.
Oh, there we go. That's smart.
Oh, okay. Boom. Bada bing.
There's too much weight on those. Oh, God. The pressure's on.
Oh, man.
Hey, come back, King.
Dang.
Let's go. All right.
Oh, snap. Oh wow, you guys are really pushing it.
Dude. That's the only base that's left. Oh god.
Oh god.
That bottom one screwed us up.
Oh, you can't. Shit.
There's some other ones on this side that you could probably do.
It's too high.
Let's see.
Oh. Dude. Oh.
Oh god.
Let's go.
No. This is it, I think.
Oh, it's too tight.
Oh.
Oh.
God. Dude, what the heck?
I went for it.
Oh god. I can't fix it, huh?
Nope.
Yeah, you can only use one hand, I think.
Oh, you can. Dude, this is I think that's it.
Oh, you got it.
Oh, there you go.
I think you got it. Yeah.
Wow.
Nice. Oh, shoot.
I should probably find a mentor for
Jenga.
yeah.
I think that's it. You got it.
Oh man. Can't do the top two.
Oh, the top two.
Did Zach and Pace, did it fall fast?
Nah, they didn't end up finishing it. We're actually doing this.
Oh, I can't use.
Final.
My bad.
Yeah, this is smart.
Yeah.
I like this.
See who wins.
Oh man, dude, this is. I think Jacob got me.
Oh, I don't know.
That one's.
Oh,
Oh.
Oh no, I can't get it.
you got to commit.
Dude, that was worth the suspense. Oh god, I almost had it too. All right, good game. Good
That's
game.
fun.